Hey everybody, what's going on? It is the Hated Patriot. I'm back. I'm back for the second time, but you wouldn't know it because I made a video and it was just bad and I just didn't like it, so I just passed on it a couple months ago. So how are y'all doing? To kick things off, just to let you know that y'all know my little girl Sonia, right? Well, I got a boy now too for her. This is her boyfriend, Kaiju. Yes, named after Japanese monsters, such as we know them from Pacific Rim. This is the big guy here. I've had him for a couple months now. And they're getting along great. They haven't made babies yet. Working on it. At any rate, welcome to the May 17th, 2014 episode. I don't even know what I'm going to call it, so the title will be up after I make this video. At any rate, so a few things I wanted to talk about, really important. First, to get it out of the way, is that I chose to part ways with my association with Professor Philip Gillen, and I've got nothing to say about it, other than I hope that he does well, but I felt that I could not continue working with him anymore. That's it. So just wanted to get that out of the way, to let you know that you won't be seeing any further material between us. But moving on to the more prescient matters. So it's been an extremely eventful couple of months since last time you heard from me. Most pertinent, and I'm going to adjust my camera a pinch here. Just a pinch. Perfect. Most pertinent would be the would be an issue regarding me. I'll go with this first. A while ago, I had picked up an unfortunate legal problem, as we all do from time to time, involving the operation of a motor vehicle on a public road, and was asked to pay a bill for such services. Yes, I got a traffic ticket, and I went through months and months and months of process and procedure through a friend who had very interesting information that I hoped would help me out, filing various kinds of motions and for hearings and making all sorts of constitutional grounds for my actions and so on and so forth, and getting denied most of the time, every step of the way. And it was about to get to a point where I don't know what the result would have been if I didn't change my strategy, but I was going to try and actually appeal certain hearing decisions that had been made prior, and I needed to get a fee waiver for it. And then at that point, I came across a new friend just before that happened, who gave me very interesting information that I want to share with you because it worked. I'm going to explain how I know that it worked. Her name is Kate of Gaia. Kate of Gaia is someone who lives in Canada, but she understands the universal proceedings of law from the perspective of what is lawful, of what is truth, what is knowledge, what is knowing. And she gave me the knowledge to exploit their fraud and absolve myself from being a party to their debt. And so basically, I've talked about legal issues like this before. The most important thing to understand is that it's a name game. The all-capitalized and franchised person. Let's just say that my first name was Hated and my last name was Patriot, which for all you know it is. Hated Patriot, correct? Okay, so Hated Patriot is spelled different ways. You can spell it Hated Patriot all lowercase, Hated Patriot all uppercase. You could split it between the two, actually you can split it where the family name, the last name, is uppercase, so on and so forth. At any rate, what she told me to do was, you see, you are not that legal person. Hated Patriot is just it's just a location point. When somebody says, hey, Hated Patriot, it's just an agreement between two parties that when that is uttered, you're typically trying to get my attention. Because you know that when you say Hated Patriot, that I respond to that. And that's fine. That way we, have a way of identifying each other. But that is not our identity. I am not Hated Patriot. That's just how you refer to me. I am me. Plain and simple. And you are you. Plain and simple. So that's all there really is to it. The name is just a concept. There's all sorts of things that are implied when you know the person that you consider the Hated Patriot here on YouTube. So, with that being said, I showed up in court. The hearing for the matter for Hated Patriot versus my state came up. I simply stood up. Now, mind you, this is literally what I did. I stood up, came to the center, out from the seat. I did not cross the threshold into their jurisdiction of the bar. And I simply declared, I am the witness to the name fraud being perpetrated here. And I have the prima facie evidence of that fraud in my hand. I held up a proper seal-pressed version of the certificate of live birth, which has the first and last name with capital first letter, lowercase for the rest, and an all capital family name, Patriot, in all capitals. Why? Because the family name is part of the franchise owned by the state, which is the only way they can recognize you by family as the last name. Then I stated, or asked rather, the query. It's a two-part statement that I made. I said, on and for the record, is it now your intent to entice me into slavery? He answered, the state attorney prosecuting answered without missing a beat, yes. This was in a superior court in my state. Mind-blowing. Mind-blowing. And that was all the validation I needed to know that Kate of Gaia was on the level. I simply responded saying, I object, I am not a slave. The judge responded saying I was failing to recognize the motion denied. With that, I made an about face, I walked out the door, and that's the end of it. It doesn't matter what happens at this point. They can make any decision they want. I made it perfectly clear to them that I am not Hated Patriot. They can go ahead and chase a ghost. That's the reality of it. That is the absolute reality of it. I have a complete disassociation in my heart that I know. I didn't have to file any kind of crazy paperwork. I just made it happen. The only thing you ever have to do, you have to send letters out. That's it. You just write a letter and you tell them who you are. And that's if you really need to. It's only something you have to bother to do when there's an issue, when there's a claim being made, and there's a mistaken identity, where there's a fraud involved. That's all you really have to worry about in that respect. So that is knowledge that I wanted to give to you guys who have been waiting patiently for the return of me. If any of you have been, hoping and keeping an eye out at all, I don't blame you if you weren't. What do you want, big guy? Here. There we go. Let the two of them cuddle. Let's see, other big news. I have been working real hard with our radio station. Like I told you, I'd become a part of Revolution Radio. The one that is at freedomslips.com, not the other Revolution Radio. The one at freedomslips.com, run by the Nighthawk. You would know me by my other public name that I give out as your reference point to listen for me, which is Steve Travesty. And to help the association, I even go by Hated Patriot when I use my contact information in our chat room there as well. So, with that being said, we've done a lot of important stuff with our radio station. We've made a personal mission of ours to deal with this issue with the Clive Bundy Ranch. First thing for anybody listening that may not be following it is that there is absolutely nothing of a racist nature to the Bundy family at all. That was a fabrication based on comments completely out of context that was used to demonize a hero. So I wanted to communicate and let you know that the Clive and Bundy issue is not going away. We won't allow it to go away. We are, because the Bundy family has chosen to finally stand up for something and be the heroes, we can talk about them and talk about their struggle in a significant way to everything. I myself have personally been in contact with people associated with the Bundys because of what I'm capable of doing with the radio station here. And we've been getting a lot of good work done in spreading the word and helping change things. The government has lost on this one, and it's very much a death knell for the entire concept of the federal government and even the state government believing in its ability of eminent domain and legalized theft, assault, fraud, murder, and everything else associated, because they have to use every single one of their dirty tricks in order to justify the kind of thing that they are doing over there. And it's not going to work. Let's see, what other further wonderful things are going on in my life? I don't know, I don't remember if in previous episodes I've talked on a more spiritual level about dreams. Because I'm a kind of person that has had dreams. Dreams that I believe are not of consequence. And that are significant. I'm the kind of person that believes in astral projection. And my dreams have been very, very strange and interesting as of late. Not all of them, and not every night I have dreams. But I've had some very, very interesting ones recently. I want to share one with you right now. Happened a week or two ago. No, it was about... No, I'm sorry. It happened maybe like a month ago. This is the dream that I call the prison planet dream. I find myself. It is in the middle of the night. It's a clear night. Lots of stars in the sky. I'm hanging out in a very large park where there's a some sort of a massive kind of barbecue function, social event, outdoor social event occurring where food's being cooked, people are having a general good time. All of a sudden, there is a commotion, and there is government emergency personnel that starts showing up in the dream, talking about everybody needs to get inside and get under cover. There is there's an alien invasion underway. I'm not kidding. So I end up amongst this crowd of people, which included this one precarious woman that I recalled from who I was having a short conversation with, and then I didn't see her after the commotion happened. And so I ran inside, and then I peeked out through like a window or something to see what was going on outside. And I was able to see a very odd looking UFO fly over, and it was in lower Earth orbit, but it was so big you could see it from the ground. Like, it was just way up there, and it had these two counter-rotating orbiting like pods of sort that were going around its center, and there would be these laser beams that would converge and fire at it, and then it was basically the forces of I guess it was Earth. I guess I was on Earth, of Earth fighting off these aliens, and I could hear it. You know, I could hear all the explosions and laser effects, and there was lots of lights, and it felt like you were very, very close to the front lines of a science fiction space battle. After that, it kind of became apparent that we had lost, and that we were about to get rounded up and thrown onto a mothership, basically onto these prison ships. And then the dream kind of shifts over to where I find myself in one of the holding cells in one of these ships. Imagine like one of these biospheres that you've maybe heard some people talk about, which are basically your planet-size kind of ships that do long-haul interstellar travel of massive populations. So we're in this ship, and I'm in a prison cell, and I notice that there's a grid pattern all over the walls. This grid pattern is about 1 meter by 1 meter-ish. And it's basically there's these smart cubes that are used to make up all of the interior structure of the prison. And then what happens is that I kind of see one of the walls, the smart cubes disappear effectively. And so the prison door has been opened. So I walk out, and I look immediately to my right, and kind of hanging in the wall is this weird amalgamated like face, if you will. It doesn't look human at all. It doesn't even look humanoid at all. It looks just kind of like, it's like a fleshiness that's kind of like just stuck to the wall. It's very weird, and I could tell because of the voice. It was the woman that I had arbitrarily met during the barbecue, and she explained to me what was going on, that we were all being, that planet Earth had been arrested effectively, and that we were all being shipped out. And but I was free to move about in this part of the ship. So a very large prison cell, if you will, to the point where it felt kind of free roaming. So I kind of don't really know how to respond to her. I'm very, very upset, frustrated about the whole thing. But she was telling me that her whole thing was she was to blend in with human society and to be a part of the transition process of getting people onto the ships by being one of them themselves as a control mechanism. So she had to put on this facade, and this was closer to her true form or some nonsense like that. So at any rate, I go about, and I go to this large It's kind of like, I guess, the rec area of a prison, if is what you would call it thematically, because it's just kind of like the general social grounds. I'm looking about. There are different social groups hanging out amongst each other. Everything is made up of these smart cubes, and these smart cubes can change shape. Well, they can't change shape. They can change texture and color, and they have these shapes that protrude out of them, although the cube itself doesn't change shape. And thus, it's almost like you're in a Minecraft type of environment, which I think you understand the drift. It's like Minecraft, except because the cubes are smaller, it's a little bit more pleasant to look at. It's less blocky, but it's still blocky. So I'm walking about. I'm checking how people are, and people aren't too upset about the predicament, even though we've all been arrested. I'm the only one that's sitting here saying, like, man, this is wrong, but at the same time, all these people are like, what? I come to one spot where I find this large dining table type thing in like a little, like, I almost want to say it's like an antechamber, gazebo-ish looking thing. I don't know how you would describe it, but it was definitely its own little room, and there were this large group of men sitting at this table, and they all looked like they were cosplaying Game of Thrones. They all were wearing some sort of nondescript medieval armor of some sort, and they sat at this table like sipping from like wine or something from cups, and they acted like they were nobility, like they were knights. I went and I met them. I don't recall any conversation of substance that I had, but I do remember that I earned their respect, and they were cool with me. Then I met this other guy. He looked like Hugh Jackman as Wolverine. That's how he manifested to me in my dream. And he wanted to show me a cool little spot he found on the other side of the rec area. There was a whole part of the rec area where it was dark, nighttime conditions, and nobody was using it, and he found a cave. And he wanted to show me this cave that he kind of turned into a little, like, sanctuary, if you will. When we got over there, this is the only time where I ever saw any kind of staff or personnel of the prison itself. There were some sort of humanoid men. Never saw what they looked like. They may have been human, may have been robots, they may have been greys. I have no idea. They showed up with like some sort of a canine that gave me a German Shepherd-esque impression, and my knee-jerk reaction was to hide in the little cave, and I found a closet in the cave that I ducked into, and I don't know whatever happened to the Wolverine character after that point, but I know that they found me, and then they brought me to, felt like it was the warden. There was this very, very human-looking, although she wasn't human, very, very tall, elegant-looking, human-looking woman. I think she had blonde hair, and very, very serious expression on her face, sitting on like this chair that was, I don't want to say it was like a throne, but it was definitely like a, almost like a, like you know, it was like it was like the chair was sort of like in the wall, and it may or may not have been made out of smart cubes or whatever, but one way or the other, she was not a prisoner here. She was one of the staff, one of the administrative heads. And I don't remember anything she said to me, but I said to her, I looked her dead in the eye and I said, look, you know, what you are doing here is wrong. You have just indiscriminately arrested everybody on Earth. You do realize that some of us have alien contacts. And then after that, I was sort of dismissed. This is where it gets interesting. After if it wasn't interesting enough that I had said that in my dream. After a few minutes of lingering, I was called back to her. I didn't have to say a word. She looked me in the eye, and she said, listen, you're going to get out of here very soon. You're getting out early. We just had contact with your friend Bashar. It was shortly after that I woke up. Now, that was incredibly significant to me because I've been a big fan of the channeled information of Daryl Anka by the entity known as Bashar, the Essassani, effectively the Essassani time traveler, who's a gray human hybrid. And I'm friends with a man named Stephen Murrow, who used to work with Daryl Anka, but still, on a metaphysical level, works with Bashar, and has his own gifts as one of the people who's here for the planetary liberation, if you will. Yes, I'm getting into that weird territory. If you don't know who I am by now, fuck you. So, I actually told Stephen about this, and he thought it was incredibly cool. So, what effectively happened, as I had help from those who are better at dream interpretation tell me, that I had experienced a event that happened in the past on Earth, of a time when there needed to be the prison planet creation of the Earth inhabitants. And then I went back into the present, where I astrally traveled to be shown a prison planet and kind of experience it firsthand for a minute. And then I suppose in the process of that experience, got confused as a proper inmate there, and thus they had to kind of have an emissary who could vouch for me, let them know that I didn't belong there. And so that's what happened. But at the same time, it was incredibly liberating as a feeling in the dream, because to converge this with what I was talking about earlier with my traffic ticket, you see, like, I'm a being now that really understands freedom, and I understand freedom on the physical plane, and I understand freedom on the spiritual plane, and that is a big part of it, and that's part of me becoming a more whole being in this experience, and doing what I have to do, and being a part of this experience here. And I just needed time to get back into thinking about that and talking about that, because I talk about this stuff all the time on the radio, so I feel like I'm just repeating myself. This stuff does get out there on the proper internet, etc., etc. So, so this is all that kind of new information for you. For those that maybe never care to check out such things, have only checked me out in passing, and have decided to subscribe, which I am thankful for. So, as one last thing, today, being May 17th, is the day of a planetary alignment, an intergalactic alignment, really, called the Pleiadian Portal Activation. I'm a person that follows the work of the Cobra Resistance. I've recently had a chance to interview Cobra, or interview him by proxy through one of the other shows I'm working with, where the other person had to ask questions, but they were asking a lot of my questions, so it was as if I was interviewing him myself. Long story short is that Cobra, who I thought had very interesting information before, now I really think is on the level with everything. Starting today, because there was a portal activation today, we're going to start seeing the end of the Black Ops military. It's gonna be a little bit slow. It's gonna take some time, because it's gonna take some work. But as of today, various galactic friends have entered our solar system in their warships, if you will, to take care of something Cobra calls the Chimera Group. The Chimera Group is basically reptilian special forces, that kind of thing. And these are the guys that have the ultimate control over deep underground military bases, where a lot of the good toys are at. And they have the Earth held hostage by things called strangelet bombs, which are a special kind of quantum bomb that works on heavy quarks, and having a special molecular reaction that has a violent explosive property. And there's going to be some very delicate clandestine style Metal Gear Solid military spy infiltration stuff of these bases going on to kick these guys' asses. Because unfortunately, this was the last part of the interplanetary prisoner administrators that would not surrender peacefully, and thus it's come to the Lightworkers having to show the teeth that they try to avoid. And I know I'm going to be a part of this in the astral plane in some way, shape, or form, because I know that I have done good works on the astral plane as a fighter, as a warrior, as a light warrior, and so these are all things I'm very, very excited about. Look forward to the precious metals market ending the manipulation, specifically in silver, by August 14th. That's going to come to an end, and that's going to change a lot of things on the global economy. Do not take your eye off of Syria or the Ukraine. Those places are very, very important. Don't take your eye off of the Bundy Ranch. That's very important. And most important, don't take your eye off yourself. Have situational awareness, not just globally, not just locally, but centrically as well. Know what's going on with you. Be aware of who you are and what you are doing. That is the key to your own freedom, is knowing who you are and what you are doing. That is the key. Well, anyway, I've been ranting here for a good half an hour. This is great stuff. I hope you're appreciating it. All right. Hated Patriot out. Namaste forever.